tôm tép rồi à?
Can two adults and a dog live comfortably in Vietnam on $400 a month? That is the question I get asked the most. In many parts of the world, a simple breakfast can easily cost $5 to $10. But my breakfast every day costs less than 50 cents. Just a bowl of leftover rice with an egg, or traditional Vietnamese sesame peanut salt. My name is Huy. I am 35 years old. And this is our life. A 28 square meter apartment on the outskirts of Hanoi. Somewhere between the city and the countryside. Compared to the crowded city center, the streets here are quieter and the air is a little easier to breathe. I want to show you exactly how we live. Not a highlight version. Not a carefully filtered version. Just the real one. Welcome to our home. The building is a modern high-rise. But our unit is small. 28 square meters. That is about the size of a large bedroom in some countries. When people hear the number, they usually ask, how do we manage? To be honest, we manage because we have to. And then slowly, the space stops feeling small. Let me show you the layout. It's a practical survival method. Every piece of large furniture you see here belongs to the landlord. We didn't buy a single piece of furniture when we moved in because moving costs money, and buying things means you have more stuff to pack when the lease ends. We brought suitcases of clothes and our computers. That's it. When you rent a cheap space with someone else's furniture, you don't feel like an owner. You feel like a temporary resident. But the benefit is clear. There is nothing to clean, nothing to maintain, and nothing to lose if we suddenly have to leave. The rent here is $175 a month, which is nearly half of my income. It is not cheap by local standards, but a small room closer to the Hanoi city center, shared between two people, costs roughly the same amount, maybe even more. Because space and money are limited, we only buy what we truly, absolutely need. This keeps our home minimalist and clean. I chose this location for a specific reason. My wife spent years in a job that exhausted her completely. Crowded commutes, long hours, the kind of stress that follows her home, and sits at the dinner table with us. After years of watching her burn out, I made a decision. I said, it is okay to quit. We can figure out how to live with less. We used to rent a place inside the city center to be near my office. Moving out here means my daily commute to work is much longer now. But every morning, my wife wakes up, looks out from the balcony, and sees a peaceful countryside scene with trees instead of traffic. That matters more to me than saving 30 minutes on the road. Our fixed expenses are tight. $25 for electricity, water, internet, and $20 for the apartment service fee. To save on utilities, we keep the air conditioning off during the day, and only turn it on at night when the heat makes sleep impossible. We also save a lot on transport. This electric scooter doesn't cost a dime for gas, and we charge it for free in the basement. And that brings us to how we actually balance our monthly numbers. Our fixed budget is $400 a month. That is everything. Rent, food, utilities, transportation, my dog's needs, and whatever small emergencies arrive without warning. My wife works online now from home. Her income is very unstable. Some months she earns a little bit, other months she makes absolutely nothing. I am the main earner. I bring in the $400. Whatever my wife earns on top of that, we treat as extra. Something that goes toward a slightly better meal, or something that we normally wouldn't dare to buy. We know exactly where every dollar goes. There is a certain clarity that comes with having very little. I stop spending money on things that do not matter, not because I am disciplined, but because the math simply does not allow for anything else. Every Sunday, we go to the local wet market down the street. We have a strict limit, $15 for the whole week. That is about 370,000 Vietnamese dong. In a supermarket downtown, $15 might get you a small block of imported cheese and some strawberries. Here, it has to feed 2 adults and a dog for 7 days. I buy 2 blocks of tofu for 30 cents, a dozen eggs for $1.5, and cheap seasonal greens like water spinach or cabbage. For protein, I look for basic cuts of pork fat and lean meat. We practice zero-waste cooking out of necessity. The pork fat is melted down to use as cooking oil. The solid pork rinds are saved to eat with rice, and the bones are boiled twice to make broth for different meals. Nothing goes into the garbage bin because every gram of waste is money thrown away. We cook almost everything at home. To make this work, we usually cook a fresh, full meal in the evening when both of us are home. For lunch, I eat at my company's cafeteria, which is covered by my employer and helps us save a decent amount of money. Back home, my wife warms up the leftovers from the previous night. It's a simple routine, but it teaches us to value every grain of rice. We rarely eat out. When we do, it is a big decision, not a habit. But on days when we are too busy or too tired to cook, we have a little secret. We wait until 8 p.m. to visit the local supermarket. That's when they offer a 50% discount on all pre-cooked meals. Of course, it's a game of luck. If everything is sold out, we end up having instant noodles for dinner. But look, we got lucky tonight. There are 2 delicious-looking meal boxes left. We bought both for just $1.6. My wife looks really happy about it. It's amazing how a small discount can bring so much joy to our evening. Of course, living this way also means making tough choices about our future, especially when it comes to family. We have been married for 7 years. People ask about children often. Our parents ask the most. They are patient, but I can hear the longing behind every visit, every phone call. The honest answer is this: we are not ready. With $400 a month and my wife's health still recovering from years of burnout, we cannot responsibly bring a child into this life. Not yet. Maybe not for a while. In chapter of our culture, this is not an easy thing to say out loud. The cultural expectation around family, around having children young, around giving grandparents what they are waiting for, it is heavy. It is something I carry even when we do not talk about it. But we made a choice to be honest with ourselves. A child deserves more than just love. A child deserves stability. And right now, we are still building that for ourselves. This is not a permanent answer. It is just where we are today. For a long time, our apartment was very quiet. Just 2 adults. Then my cousin's Shiba Inu had a litter of 4 puppies. He knew we loved animals and offered us one to bring some life into our home. That was how May arrived.
Bye bye, bye bye.
See this slipper? It is completely shredded at the strap. That's May's work. Every single pair of indoor shoes we buy ends up like this within 2 days. I can't afford to keep buying new ones, so my daily routine now includes collecting our shoes and locking them inside the top cabinet where she can't reach. But aside from her shoe habit, May is surprisingly low maintenance. She has a strict rule. She never urinates or poops inside the apartment. She will hold it for 12 hours straight until our scheduled walk. In a 28 square meter room, if a dog uses the floor as a bathroom, the smell becomes unbearable instantly. May's habit saves us from buying expensive synthetic grass mats or pee pads, which cost around $5 a pack. Shiba Inu is considered a premium breed in Vietnam. People assume they are expensive to keep. Grooming sessions at a pet salon, specialty food, supplements, the list can get very long. We cannot afford any of that, so I do everything myself. We bathe May at home and blow dry her fur carefully, brush out the loose hair, clean her ears, and clip her nails. It just takes time and patience. However, keeping a premium dog on a tight budget can get terrifying. A few weeks after we got her, May woke up at 2 a.m. shaking violently. Her muscles went completely stiff, and she collapsed on the floor, unresponsive. She couldn't even prop her front legs up. It was a severe calcium crash. At that hour, every local veterinary clinic we called was closed or went to voicemail. There are no 24-hour pet hospitals in the suburban area. My wife was in complete panic, crying open tears while rubbing May's stiff limbs to keep her blood flowing. That night, looking at my wife's wet face, I realized this dog wasn't just a pet. She was the center of my wife's emotional stability. Luckily, after 30 minutes of trying, May managed to swallow some concentrated sugar water we forced into her mouth. By 6 a.m., she was up, running, and chasing her tail again. We got lucky. If she had needed complex surgery or something similar that night, I don't know where we would have found the money. The dog food she eats was a large jar of kibble passed along from my cousin. We use it sparingly, mostly as rewards. The rest of her diet comes from our own cooking, prepared separately without salt or seasoning. May only knows that every morning, someone scratches behind her ears and tells her she is a good girl. She seems satisfied with that. Every day, we take May out for a long walk. The neighborhood around our building is different from the inner city. There are wider stretches of road, patches of open land, small pockets of green that do not exist in the dense center of Hanoi. The air feels cooler and more refreshing this far from the city, especially in the afternoon. May walks ahead of us on her leash, investigating every surface like it contains important information. Living on a tight budget for a long time is not just a financial experience. It is a psychological one. There are days when the anxiety is quiet, and there are other days when something small goes wrong and the numbers feel very loud. We do not have a clean answer for how to manage that. What we have is each other. And May helps too. A dog does not know that money is tight. She just wants to walk, to eat, and to sleep near the people she loves. The hardest part of this low-income reality is the psychological toll on my wife. On months when her online freelance work brings in zero income, she shuts down. She looks at her friends on social media buying apartments in central Hanoi or traveling, and she starts feeling useless, like she is a financial burden to me. When she gets into these moods, I don't give her poetic speeches. I remind her of the math. I tell her she worked 10 hours a day for 7 years at her old job and ended up sick. This current gap isn't a failure. It's a career reset, and resets take time. We have to face the fact that we are broke right now compared to our peers, but we have our health and our time. If we let the lack of money destroy her confidence, then leaving her office job was completely pointless. We choose to accept the tight budget so we can keep our sanity. And that is exactly why I decided to start this journey on YouTube. I started filming our daily life because I wanted to learn a completely new skill: shooting and editing videos. I don't want our income to stay at $400 forever. I want to work harder every single day so that my wife can recover in better conditions and May can have a better life. This channel is our only realistic shot at creating a second stream of income from home. But the reality of video production is brutal when you have no experience. We shoot the footage on weekends using an iPhone 11, and my wife spends her weekdays watching free tutorials to figure out how to cut clips together. Thank you so much for visiting our small apartment and sharing a piece of our life. If this video brought you a moment of peace, please support our journey by leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. If you would like to support us directly or buy May a small toy, you can leave a donation via the Ko-Fi link in the description below. Your kindness at this time means the world to our family. Thank you, and I wish you a peaceful day. See you in the next video.